Pledge of Allegiance. Our
Our
Father,
Father, who art in heaven, hallowed be thy name. Thy kingdom come,
Thy will be done.
on earth as it is in heaven. Give us this day our daily bread, and forgive us our trespasses, as we forgive those who trespass against us.
And lead us
Not into temptation, but deliver us from evil. For thine is the kingdom, and the power, and the glory, forever and ever. Amen.
pledge
pledge
allegiance
allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right. Well, good evening, everybody. We'll start with item D, the approval of minutes from the February 5th, 2024 regular council meeting. In the absence of any objections or corrections, those minutes shall stand approved. They stand approved. Item E, citizen communication. If there's anybody in the audience tonight that would like to address council on anything that is not on the agenda, feel free to come forward, and we'll be happy to hear.
Hello. Hey, I'm Mark Rusky. I know some of you and some of you I do not. I just want to stop in and introduce myself. I'm running for Henry County Sheriff. I started in public safety back in 2005. I started in fire and EMS and started in the police academy the same year. I spent 2007 to 2020 at the sheriff's office. 7 of those years, a little over 7 of those years, as a patrol sergeant. I oversaw road patrol scheduling and some FTO roles at the sheriff's office. Since that time, in the last few years, I've spent quite a bit of time doing some training with law enforcement. I've had the ability to travel and go to some conferences across the U.S. in different states. I'm there to train, but honestly, I've learned quite a bit from these people. It's pretty insightful to be at other places and kind of see what practices they're implementing and what issues they're also facing. I was in Texas last year, and contrary to the news, we do have a border problem, and the law enforcement there is very frustrated. They have their hands full, and it's working its way our way. Also in 2022 and into 23, I stepped in as Desher Police Chief and overhauled the police department there. I brought on some new staff. I overhauled their policies and procedures, and just did a lot of updates for them. Really, that's about it. I take any questions or.
Can you elaborate a little bit on some of the training specifically that you do?
Yeah, so it's kind of a mix of human factors training and tactical training, de-escalation, close quarter encounter type of training, where just teaching officers how to interact safely with people and not to let their guard down. And then obviously it goes into various forms of defensive tactics or edge weapon encounters, just to kind of bridge a gap where we're missing out on a lot of stuff, where things that go south for cops pretty quickly. Yeah.
That's great.
Why sheriff and why Henry County?
That's a good question. Born and raised here, I live here. Part of running for sheriff is you must live in the county that you're running for, at least in Ohio. So, and having worked at the sheriff's office. So my goal is to update a lot of things at the sheriff's office and kind of bridge and repair a lot of gaps in communication and a lot of relationships throughout the county. There are things that are good, but there are some areas that have expressed that they feel pretty underserved by the sheriff's office, and I'm hoping to kind of right the ship in that regard.
Any other questions from council? Ms. Rusky, thank you.
Thank you.
If you wouldn't mind, we could have you just sign your name and address on that sign-in sheet for us, that'd be great. But again, thank you for your time.
Thank you.
Item F, reports from council committees. Item F1, the electric committee did not meet on February 12th due to lack of agenda items. The water, sewer, refuse, recycling, and litter committee did not meet on February 12th due to lack of agenda items. The municipal properties, building, land use, and economic development committee did not meet on February 12th due to lack of agenda items. And the Parks and Rec committee did not meet earlier tonight due to lack of agenda items. Item H, introduction of new ordinances and resolution. H1, resolution number 004-24, A resolution authorizing the expenditure of funds in excess of $50,000 for the purpose of purchasing an AMI system and all the necessary appurtenances for the City of Napoleon, Ohio Electric Department, and to award said purchase to Wesco and Nixer, and declaring an emergency. Do we have a motion?
Motion.
Second.
Andy?
Thank you, Council President. As I described at the last meeting, we budgeted just over $1 million, $1,008,000 for this AMI system. The contract price with Wesco will be $790,894. This system really piggybacks off of our existing system, which was also a Wesco system that we purchased 25 years ago, which was an AMR system, automatic meter reading. And there, Wesco is the only one that has contracts with both Neptune and Itron. Neptune are the water meters, Itron are the electric meters. They're the only ones that have contracts with them to allow for this system to basically seamlessly read those meters. Now, there will have to be approximately 1,800 of the electric meters replaced, and then they act as kind of a hub that helps read the other meters in the area. The other, as I mentioned the last time, there's two other communities that I've gotten some really positive feedback on. One of them is Deshler. Kirk Behrman could not say enough about the system. And the other one was Wapakoneta. And as I stated last meeting, we had just gone down and visited with them, and they too were very positive about it. They've had their system since 2018 and really had no issues whatsoever. So I ask that council approve this, and we move forward with getting into the AMI business.
And is there any plan to add water to this down the road?
Water is part of this.
It's part of this, okay.
Yes,
Perfect.
electric and water are both part of this. That was one of the drawbacks with the system that Kevin and I looked at a year ago with AMP. They had that GRIP grant, and they were offering a system. It was much higher priced, and it was only electric. We could have added water to that, but it would have literally been some time down the road because the grant was for electric meters only.
Thank you.
Yes, this will read both.
How long of a project would this be after, if it gets approved?
It's kind of up in the air. Obviously, by this fall, we'd like to have it installed completely. But it's really going to depend upon what other kind of issues our electric department runs into, because they will be doing the installation. Wesco will be providing the system and the guidance, and then our crews will actually do the installation.
Great.
Do we envision that 50,000 is going to be it, and after they start installing, they're not going to come back and say, well, we're going to need more money for this, this, and this?
Yeah, no, this is the package.
Okay.
There's an annual subscription fee that we pay for support, but
Great.
over and above that, this is the package. And both Deshler and Wapakoneta both said that they've been great to deal with and never had any issues. So, yeah, it's really very positive. I mean, I wish I could say, well, you know, they questioned this or that, but they really didn't. They were both very, very positive.
Any other questions from council?
Andy, the 1,800 meters that need to be replaced, that cost is all included, and that's our labor included? Is that City of Napoleon installed, or?
City of Napoleon will do the installation. There are no labor costs included in that $790,000 figure. That's simply the system that we are purchasing.
All right. Any other questions or comments? Hearing none. Amanda, please call the roll.
Brittany,
Yes.
Ross,
Yes.
Ken,
Yes.
Bob,
Yes.
Jordan,
Yes.
Tom,
Yes.
Dr. Dave.
Okay, that will move on to second read.
Thank you.
Item H2, ordinance number 005-24, an ordinance creating the non-bargaining position of part-time administrative assistant for the City of Napoleon, Ohio. Do we have a motion?
A motion?
Thank you. Andy?
Thank you, Council President. This position will report directly to our Public Works Director and City Engineer Chad Luffs. It is primarily administering contracts and project-associated paperwork. They will prepare bid documents, coordinate funding disbursements and reimbursements, and maintain the certified payroll records per the State of Ohio guidelines. This individual will work anywhere from 2 to 3 days a week. The job just does not require a full-time person. So they will or report as the work is there. And last but certainly not least, I would ask that this be passed under suspension so we can get this going. We'd like to have that person in place by April 1st.
Any questions or comments?
Motion for suspension?
Thank you, sir. Is there a second?
Second.
Amanda, please call the roll on suspension.
Brittany,
Yes.
Ross,
Yes.
Ken,
Yes.
Bob,
Yes.
Jordan,
Yes.
Tom,
Yes.
Dr. Dave.
Yes.
Okay. Any questions or comments regarding the resolution or ordinance, excuse me? I'm hearing none. Amanda, please call the roll on the ordinance.
Brittany,
Yes.
Ross,
Yes.
Ken,
Yes.
Bob,
Yes.
Jordan,
Yes.
Tom,
Yes.
Dr. Dave.
Yes.
Thank you.
That will pass on first read under suspension. We'll move on to item I, the second reading of ordinances and resolutions. Item I-1, ordinance number 003-24, an ordinance amending sections 925.07, 925.12, 925.13, 925.16, 925.17, 925.19, and 925.22 of the City of Napoleon, Ohio codified ordinances as they relate to refuse service, also amending ordinance numbers 082-04 and 062-18, rules for disposal at the city's yard waste site collection site, excuse me. Is there a motion?
Motion.
A second?
Thank you. Andy?
Yes, Council President, I will not read through the ordinance this time. There are no changes based on what was passed the last time, which was a monthly fee for refuse customers of $21, and the bag tags were $2 for a single bag, and then $4 if they have to pick up extra bags that aren't tagged. I've done enough discussing of this during Water Sewer Refuse Recycling Committee, the Board of Public Affairs, and through previous council meetings. So I won't go over all the numbers tonight. But I did come up with several scenarios that I've placed before you this evening. This is really all about revenue enhancement. As I stated before, it's been 15 years since we adjusted our refuse rates, 20 years since we did anything with yard waste. And as you've seen in some of the spreadsheets that I've shown you, our balances are declining. And so what this is all about is making sure that those funds stay healthy and before they get too sickly. We'd rather do it now than wait later. So what I've proposed, or what I've given you this evening are 5 different scenarios here as well for you to look at, and then a summary of all those scenarios at the bottom. And what I've done is I took 2023 actual numbers and I applied all the increases to those 2023 actuals. So it's kind of an apples to apples comparison. I kept all of the expenses the same and only increased the rates that are in the ordinance. And you can see the various, the top one there is the $20 a month and $2 and $4 tags. I'm sorry, that should have been 18, I'm sorry. That should read $18 a month and $2 and $4 tags. gosh, I've looked at this thing 1,000 times in the last couple of weeks. That was those are the 2023 numbers. And you can see, in that second line there, we basically lost $44,000 last year. Our expenses were $44,000 greater than our revenue. And in some of the other years, did I put that on there? Oh, yeah, right there. 2022, we lost almost 63,000. 2021, we lost just over 48,000. So we're just not collecting enough to pay for the services. So what I've proposed, as you can see, those 5 different scenarios, and I'm only proposing these because I know there was quite a bit of discussion last council meeting, and I thought I'd just throw these out there. But you can see the various scenarios. Obviously, there's one down at the bottom that shows $21 a month, $4 and $6 tags, which is kind of the whole shooting match. And it increases our revenue by $188,000 next year per these numbers. I'll let you look over those. Certainly open for discussion. Just thought I'd throw out the information.
Thank you for all the background work. This was time consuming for sure.
It's all fun.
We'll open the floor for any questions, comments, concerns.
I would like to have the bag tag thing stay at the $2 that it is now. It's, can be, like Mr. Weitzel said at the last meeting, a pretty good drag on certain people that can't really afford it. And we don't need garbage like a big pile of tires they showed on the news last night dumped in a person's front yard. We don't need that.
I guess I would counter that point with, I don't want to force those that feel like they're only using 1 or 2 bags a week to incur the cost of the people that are using other bags. So while I acknowledge the fact that we are asking those who are using those extra bags to pay more, I also don't want to penalize and socialize in a way that extra expense onto those that are not using that and are very diligent on using our recycling program. Mayor made a joke that I was busy today, but I was able to engage the public some with social media. I've done some work talking to coworkers and those that live in the community. And I also got, actually it was, God's timing's awesome. As I got home for lunch today, the trash guys were coming down my street, so I stood and talked with them a little bit. Their opinion is the houses that are using those extra bags above and beyond the 2 seem to also be the houses that are not using the recycling program. So I think there's opportunity there. Maybe there's a teaching opportunity for us to enhance that recycling knowledge and really have our citizens understand the things that they can do to get rid of some of those extra bags. But I guess I would counter the point to summarize everything that I just said with saying I would rather raise the cost of the tags and put the cost on the people that are using those tags versus on increasing everybody.
I would also like to, I understand your position, Bob. I also understand your position. I have seen several, when you drive out there and some of the single households with elderly and whatever are putting out half a bag of trash. Not even a black one. They're putting out half a white bag, a 20-gallon bag of trash, and they've got half a bag of trash sitting there. How is that fair to them to be paying extra for somebody else when they're using only half a bag? They're on a fixed income too.
Mr. President,
Yes, sir.
I'm one of those persons that are retired, fixed income, have 1 bag, and I do use the recycling program. I really don't think that it's that big of a burden for the extra dollar when we do socialize this. We socialize many things. We can't build streets without doing that. We couldn't run this operation without the 18 right now and suggested 20 in the original proposal, which is an increase of $2. I think when you look at the 21 and leaving the tags the same, I still think that's only about a 17% increase, which is pretty much the national average right now of what we've had to do with inflation. And I think we're covering it quite well.
3 years,
So
but 3 years ago, we increased it to 2 bags, and there's no way that we're throwing away. I know we did it for glass.
We did it for a reason,
Yeah,
because we
but hold
couldn't
on,
recycle.
We did it for
as
glass,
much.
but there's nobody out there that's throwing away a whole bag of glass.
I'm not saying that's
So
the
there was
case.
a penalty on the individuals that were there when that occurred. I'm talking about, I drive by a widow that lives right next to my clinic. How is it fair to her to be paying for somebody else's?
So you're only talking
rent?
an extra $1 from the original proposal is all I'm trying to say, Doctor, and it's, I don't think it's that big of a burden. I'm willing to take that as being one of those persons with fixed income and only putting one bag out. And
I don't
I'm
know
not
what her
saying that
financial
everybody
situation
does.
is, but I'm saying,
So-
I more agree with, it's not fair to the individual that is only putting out half a bag of trash.
Just to infuse a touch of humor into this situation, and also I want to get credit for my hard work. I counted 507 houses. Only one of those, this was last week, only one of those had an extra bag with a tag out in excess of the 2 bags that they were allotted. 727 houses today, tried to pick a different neighborhood away from the one that I originally did. 4 houses had extra bag tags. So I acknowledge your concern, and I agree. I'm just not seeing the numbers that are there. And the social media response seems to be around 60-40 in favor of increasing the bag tags. And some of those people are expressing comments that it's unfair to impose that cost upon those that are not using the extra service. So I hear both points, but I wanted to just throw that in there and get credit for counting up to 727.
Absolutely. I was just adding to what you were saying. It wasn't-
Yes, absolutely, absolutely.
One point I think that we should all probably consider as we're having this discussion is, it's not just waste. This is mosquito spray,
Yes.
yard waste in that sense. So when we focus on the broad pricing here, I mean, it's not just one thing, it's more than that. I think even for me, and Tom made a good point last meeting, and Bobby, you did too. So it really made me dive more into what, for those that can't afford it, what does that look like? I went down the road of trying to understand the homestead exemption, how many senior citizens are qualifying for that or using that, does that have something to kind of understand income? But even then, going down this road, I would like to say as a community, for me, I'm willing to take that extra $1 to be able to get our revenue where it needs to be, for us to manage where our waste and mosquito spraying and yard waste and recycling is going to be. Because then also at the end of the year, we're going to have to look at recycling again to understand what that contract looks like for us.
Exactly.
So I just wanted to put that out there, that it's not just waste.
Yeah, I appreciate that call out, and I guess that's where
But I appreciate the work
I
you
had-
did too, because that's.
I had okayed that's where that increase from 18 to 20 is coming. So I guess I didn't even try to fight that increase, because I
But no,
understand
that, I
it's
mean,
more
that's,
than,
it's great to know what you did. I
it's
mean,
more
that's-
than the bags.
Yeah.
What other comments or questions do we have? Okay. Seem to be rather split. We're going to vote on the legislation as previously amended last council meeting, which was the $21 a month and the $2 and $4 bag tags. If there is a motion to amend that now, we certainly can. If not, we will go ahead and vote on the resolution as it stands.
I make a motion to amend
And you would amend it to,
it. The $20 and then the 3 and the 6.
the $20 and the 3 and 6.
Excuse me, the 4 and the 6.
As it was initially proposed, it was the $20 with the 4 and the 6.
Okay, so I have a motion to amend that legislation. Is there a second?
Second.
Any other questions or comments before this vote to amend?
Just to interject one more time, as I stated, this is about revenue enhancement. The initial proposal was an increase of revenue of $144,864. And the way the proposal is currently written, the legislation is currently written, is $170,061. Just keep that in mind.
Okay, Amanda, please call the roll on the amendment.
Brittany,
No.
Ross,
No.
Ken,
No?
Bob,
No.
Jordan,
Yes.
Tom,
Yes.
Dr. Dave.
Yes.
Okay. The legislation will stay as it is. Billy, do we need to take another vote to pass this on second read and move it to third read?
So approve on second read, yeah, you would take your second read vote, and then if it is approved on second read, then it would move on to third.
Okay. All right. Any other questions or comments before we do that vote? Hearing none. Amanda, please call the roll.
Brittany,
Yes.
Ross,
Yes.
Ken,
Yes?
Bob,
Yes.
Jordan,
No.
Tom,
No.
Dr. Dave.
No.
Okay, that will move on to third read. We will move on to item J, the third reading of ordinances and resolutions. Tonight, there are none. Item K, good of the city. Item K1, discussion or action, the award of the HEN Napoleon Safe Routes to School for fiscal year '24. Andy?
Yes, Council President, as Chad presented last meeting, we were not prepared at that time to recommend an award of this project simply because there was an issue with the bid that was presented by one of the contractors. We went back, or the state finally got back with Chad, I think it was Tuesday following the last meeting, and had disqualified that vendor, or that company, because they didn't have all their paperwork in order. So with that said, the published engineer's estimate for this project was $359,165. The grant is up to $370,000. And we asked or recommend that council award this contract for Safe Routes to School to Vernon Nagel for $351,006.90.
Okay. Any questions or comments here? Hearing none, is there a motion to approve?
Motion?
Second.
Thank you. Amanda, please call the roll.
Brittany,
Yes.
Ross,
Yes.
Ken,
Yes.
Bob,
Yes.
Jordan,
Yes.
Tom,
Yes.
Dr. Dave.
Yes.
Okay. Item K2, discussion or action to appoint a new member of the Board of Zoning Appeals.
That'd be me.
Mr. Mayor?
Actually, we have two positions on the Board of Zoning Appeals that need to be filled. I'd like to fill one of those with Ethan Plummer and the other with Kelly Burkhart. And do we need,
A motion by council.
okay.
Could we have said motion, please?
Motion.
Second.
Amanda, please call the roll.
Brittany,
Yes.
Ross,
Yes.
Ken,
Yes.
Bob,
Yes.
Jordan,
Yes.
Tom,
Yes.
Dr. Dave,
Yes.
Okay,
Thank you all.
yes, thank you. Item K3, discussion or action, approval of the power supply cost adjustment factor for February 2024 as PSCA 3-month average factor of 0.021145 and JV2 of 0.039338. Andy?
Yes, this number is actually down slightly from last month. As I relayed to you in an email message following the last meeting, I mistakenly or failed to mention that Fremont gas-fired plant had been down for, I believe it was 6 weeks, for their major maintenance rebuild. And because of that, I mean, they're 30% of our load goes through Fremont. That gas-fired plant is it's relatively inexpensive power. So with that down, we were forced to buy more off the open market, which increased the rates. That has since come back online, so it should rebound somewhat, and those rates should come down a little bit more over the next few months. Bear in mind, it is a 3-month moving average, so it's not immediate. You won't see an immediate drop, but they will come down somewhat, barring any unforeseen outages.
Okay. Is there a motion to approve?
A motion?
Second.
Thank you. Amanda, please call the roll.
Brittany,
Yes.
Ross,
Yes.
Ken,
Yes.
Bob,
Yes.
Jordan,
Yes.
Tom,
Yes.
Dr. Dave,
Yes.
Thanks, Andy. Item K4, discussion or action to approve PC 24-04- change in use of conditional use permit of 821 Haley Ave. Andy, you want to take that one?
Could I pass that along to you, Mayor?
Okay. So the Planning Commission met last week, and the owners of 821 Haley Street, just Steve and Julie Bush, they have a photography studio right now that is in a building outside, not attached to their current home. That was approved, I believe, back in 1997, and it was built, I think, finished in 98 with a little bit of an addition. They put a bathroom in there, a full bath and a full kitchen, and their intent was to use it as their photography studio and also a mother-in-law suite. They've done that for years now, and now they're looking to use that as an apartment. And the issue that was brought up in the commission meeting, because what they're asking for is a change of use for this. And this was something I was not aware of until this meeting, is that is not allowed by our code the way it currently is. That's why they needed a change, a conditional use permit. If the structure was connected to their existing house, this would be no issue at all. We have duplexes, we have people that have like an Airbnb, but it would have to be connected. And the reason for that is we don't want people to have maybe a detached garage with a living space above and then rent that out, and or putting in tiny houses in your backyard and then having people living in your backyard and things like that. So we have that on the books. It was recommended and passed that we do this as a temporary conditional use permit for 24 months with then a review to see maybe if the neighbor's complaining or if there's any other issues that come about. I know that was long-winded compared to a lot of the ones, but I think it's important that everyone understands what was brought to us and what we recommended.
This will be going to be used as an apartment, correct? Not an
Correct.
Airbnb?
Correct.
Okay.
Mr. President, can I just ask a
So
question?
I keep looking.
I was listening to the dates, so the original change to the photo studio needed some type of a conditional use permit because it was a commercial in a residential, I'm assuming. Is that what
Correct.
you?
Yes.
And then immediately the next year, it was expanded? with
I
the-
believe so from what, the discussion the other day, they just added on to it. It didn't change the conditional use permit, they just added a little bit more in that building.
We made it a living space at that time?
Correct. But wasn't gonna be used for that.
So it has never been used as a living space?
Correct.
Okay, that's the misunderstanding.
Right.
I thought you said it was because it was a mother-in-law suite.
They would use it for if somebody was coming to stay,
So
a
it was
family's
just for us.
guest. Right, exactly,
A guest house.
correct.
Is there square footage requirements in this type of permit?
Don't recall
Yes,
that.
there are. I can't quote what they are, but there are square footage requirements. It has to meet.
I know,
again,
that's
don't-
why, like, I can't even remember what it would be.
yeah. But I couldn't quote what it is exactly.
You're asking the size of the actual structure?
Yes,
Okay,
yeah.
because we did talk about the square footage. If someone had a large enough property to be able to put a second, or split up the parcel into two,
Mm.
that square footage would have to be, I believe Kevin Schulte said 5,000 square foot. So, and there's not enough room on their property to split into two.
And this doesn't meet the requirements for the square footage, is what you're saying?
To be able to split into two parcels.
No,
Correct, if it does not.
The structure itself does not meet the minimum requirement?
I don't know that. I'm not sure what that requirement is.
For
I
a dwelling.
don't believe it does, Bob.
So it doesn't meet the minimum requirement for a dwelling?
I believe that's true.
Billy, do you have any idea what that
And
is?
that's
off
why
the
they're
top of your
asking
head?
for a conditional use permit. Yeah, so that's why they're asking for permission from the city to operate as they've explained. So if council approves it, then here we go, and if not, then no.
So when we think of a temporary basis, are we opening the door up for more temporary permits if we do this?
That was my concern, is are we developing a roadmap to having this discussion multiple times?
So from actually a legal argument, would we have, if we approve one, what keeps us, if someone.
We have every right to disapprove of any subsequent, of course. Yeah, so we've looked at this one on its merits and approved it. Each one comes in on its own merits, and council can do what it wants to do with those. So, now, does that stop a person from potentially filing something? No. People can file against the city for anything they dream up, and it does happen. But I don't think it would be, I think it would be meritless.
So my question would be,
Sorry, go ahead, Tom, sorry.
what would planning commission, I read, I think Tim Berry had a lot of comments, good comments, but what would keep us from not approving one again and again and again?
I would think from being in that meeting, the concern would be the type of structure that would be housing, a dwelling for people to live in. Where this one is built nice and it's finished, it doesn't stand out like a sore thumb like others could. And that's what I believe they're trying to prevent.
Okay, so I probably didn't follow close enough either. If I came along and wanted to build one, that's a different subject.
That is very different, yeah. This one's already there, and it's been there for decades.
Mhm.
Okay. Any other questions, comments, concerns?
Last question, you did say this is an apartment, so it is a leased out, this is not an Airbnb temporary stay. It is an apartment that is going to add to the housing that we have in Napoleon.
Correct.
At least for the 2 years you're.
Correct.
And then,
This is a
subject-
limited-
and then subject to review after those 2
This
years,
is
yeah, to
limited.
make sure there wasn't anything like that going on, and the neighbors don't show up in mass at the next hearing to say, no, thank you on this, so. So it's a chance to prove what they claimed to be doing.
Is there a reason 2 years was picked as the amount of time?
No, I think that was just a suggestion, and then we thought that was great to, you know, at least give the temporary time so we can evaluate the 2 years.
Okay, I will take a motion to approve. I'll make the motion. Is there a second? Okay. So Billy, in that case,
So there's no second, and we don't have, I mean, your clerk is there too. I'm not trying to step on your toes.
No,
but-
no, no. If there's no second, then, obviously the motion doesn't pass. And at that point, I would assume no action taken.
Yep, yes,
Can I motion to amend?
certainly.
I would be more, I guess I'm gonna make a comment before I make the motion. I would be more inclined to look at it at a shorter window than 2 years. If somebody else wants to, or,
I will say this, I believe any conditional use permit can be reviewed, revoked at any time. So, I mean, if there are issues with this within that 2-year time span, then this conditional use can be pulled. Just to kind of go along with
yeah,
what
I
you're
just
saying.
wanna make sure that I know what I'm making that vote on. And I will say that, if it's an opportunity to add housing, it's something that Napoleon desperately needs. So I also understand that, and I see that this is another opportunity to add, a well-maintained property, and for somebody to have an opportunity to live in Napoleon, so
How many person residence will this be?
Oh, I don't know.
Is this like
It's
an
not very big.
individual apartment for one, or are we talking a two-person residence? What will we consider this?
I don't know.
It says it's 500 square feet there.
Yeah.
So it's small.
We can guess it's probably one person,
Yeah, it's very
2
small.
max.
Similar to a studio, I would imagine.
Mhm. And Steve and Julie did mention that there is someone in there now, and that's why this was brought to the city's attention. And this person, from what they said, they're having a house built. And this is a place for this person to stay until that house is built, and then he'll move into his house. And then if someone else needed some temporary housing or something, that's their thought behind it.
So Andy's point is appropriate to repeat in the situation. If they're violating the conditional use permit, certainly we can take action on that. Well before the 2 years is up, we don't have to wait for that hearing in 2 years. If there's an issue 6 months from now, the city can certainly bring that to the property owner's attention, and we can correct that.
so the motion to approve,
Did you want to repeat your motion and see if there's a second?
I will repeat my motion as recommended by the planning commission.
Mhm.
If there's a second, we will vote on the issue.
I'll second.
Amanda, please call the roll.
Brittany,
No.
Ross,
Yes.
Ken,
No.
Bob,
No.
Jordan,
Yes.
Tom,
Yes.
Dr. Dave.
Yes.
That will be approved. We will go around the table tonight. Andy, start on your side.
Thank you, Council President. Just a reminder, the Charter Review Commission meets tomorrow night at 6:30 here. I have completed another review of the solar rules, and I am prepared to take those back to Electric Committee next month. And it's already on the agenda for the Electric Committee. I just haven't been prepared for it up till now. So just as a heads up, we will be meeting next month on the Electric Committee to review those solar rules one more time. And I have a meeting tomorrow night that might interrupt I may be tardy for the Charter Review Commission meeting, but rest assured, I am working hard for the city. So that's all I'll say about that. That's all I have.
Billy?
Nothing for me.
Jordan?
Just wanted to take a moment to give a shout out to one of our citizens, Tisha Brown and Dustin Wilson, that live at 515 Fillmore. She took it upon herself to basically open up a small food pantry for her neighbors. She said she saw a need and that she's trying to answer that need. So I was able to stop over at that residence after work today and thank them, shake their hands. So just a tip of the cap for somebody who has a little bit extra helping others, and I think that it's commendable. So if anybody wants to see what that looks like, and then she set it up, I took a couple of pictures while I was there, and just a shout out to two good citizens doing something good for other citizens in Napoleon.
It's awesome.
Thank you, sir. Mr. Weitzel?
Nothing.
Mr. Hayes?
I have nothing.
Mr. Mayor?
The only thing I have to say is, man, I'm very proud of this council. I mean, with me being on council for about 8 years, I was thinking that there's probably a handful of times that there were votes 4-3 in the 8 years I was on. And now tonight with a lot of new people, I'm just amazed at the amount of work and research that each and every one of you have done and how respectful the conversation is. So I thank you all for what you're doing. Appreciate it.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Brittany?
I kind of piggyback off that. I mean, just the discussion alone on the refuse, waste, and like that, the dialogue we were having last meeting made me really dive deeper into, you know, what the costs are, what's out there for everybody. And so don't get discouraged. And, you know, the work that you did today, I mean, was awesome, because I wouldn't have known that either. So I definitely appreciate, you know, us as a team with this communication and trying to build the city better. And then another thing I wanted to see, conversation piece maybe, was maybe putting a policy in place for a continued review of the refuse waste, so we're not 15 years down the road going, why didn't we do that? Because obviously everybody's busy, the city's busy on what they do, so sometimes just a policy in place gets more direction on what should be done and when.
Yeah, that was a topic brought up at the Water, Sewer, and Refuse Committee as well. So maybe we can add an item for discussion next month or the month after on that topic, Andy.
You guys trying
Yes,
to
sir.
get Andy to do some more Excel spreadsheets and breakdowns?
I hope he tells us about it.
Dr. Dave?
I'd like to bring up, I was reading in the tree report, there's a problem with one of the spots where a tree keeps getting run over by a semi.
Tree well by the grocery store town.
Right. It made me think about that, and what about putting up one of the visible benches and putting up one of our concrete trash cans right next to it? And if he's going to run over it, he's gonna run over more than that.
With the odds, being on the tree commission and listening to the reports, with the odds that very heavily that it will be hit, we would just be putting an impediment in the road that would probably cause a lot of damage and a lot of cleanup.
I was
The
under-
tree
no, I-
commission tonight decided to delete that well, since it's just a target for, since we allowed the grocery store, so we know we're gonna have semis in and out of there all the time. it's just in that arc, 5 feet to the north, and it wouldn't get hit. So they're gonna delete that well and then have a well placed just a little bit farther up to the north, maybe one section, maybe 2 sections where it won't be in that radius. Still having plenty of room for, between the two to the one to the corner, and I think that's probably a good.
Well, I was on the tree commission previously, and that had been an issue. One of the things they were talking about was concern about the weight of the truck going over the concrete, and even filling in that well. If he continues to drive in that spot, we're going to run into a issue with the weight breaking the concrete. And that's my concern, so it's more than just that well's in a bad spot. That truck should not be driving in that spot because it doesn't have the proper support.
I don't disagree with you there. However, you can take a look at maybe some of the businesses, truck stops, for instance, Walmarts, for instance, have put very large rocks in the way so that trucks
makes no
wouldn't hit them, and they get drugged down the road. And then we
Makes
come to
no
pick them up.
I know, but I'm just saying, removing the tree well isn't going to take away the possibility of doing damage to the spot. And I mean, no
You're
disrespect
exactly
to you
right.
whatsoever.
You're exactly right, but at least there won't be a large trash can and a bench.
And we won't be losing a tree. Yeah, I see, but I'm just wondering if there's gotta be, if there is a better answer than that, because they're running over that concrete does not help the situation.
Something sharp?
On a public sidewalk, that's
Maybe
great.
not, yeah, maybe
Andy, could we have you partner with Chad and maybe brainstorm some solutions there?
Where's the exact location you're referring to?
It's across from Circle K. It's the one that doesn't have a tree in it, because it's been run over 3 different times.
At the Dollar General?
That's
Yes.
it.
Yes, and like I said, the tree commission tonight requested
Doesn't that truck,
have that deleted and moved up a section or 2, and have it planted just a little bit farther up.
I think that truck comes in mostly after dark anyhow. And there are no backup lights on semi-trailers.
Maybe just an update in the weekly FYI.
Chad's out. He is in Honduras right now on a mission trip. So
Jealous.
I will,
All right. Anything else, Dr. Dave?
No, I think I've caused them trouble.
Tom?
Just one item, we have no additional agenda items for the Finance and Budget Committee, so the meeting for 2/26 will be canceled.
Thank you.
Kevin?
I have nothing.
I will call an executive session to consider the appointment, employment, dismissal, discipline, promotion, demotion, or compensation of public employees. Before we do a motion for that, I do just want to officially welcome our new clerk of council, Amanda. It is great to have you aboard. Marissa, you will be missed, but I know we're in good hands. So with that said, I will take a motion to enter executive session.
Motion.
Thank you. Amanda, please call the roll.
Brittany,
Yes.
Ross,
Yes.
Ken,
Yes.
Bob,
Yes.
Jordan,
Yes.
Tom,
Yes.
Dr. Dave.
Yes.
We'll just start with council for now, please. To come out of executive session to consider the appointment, employment, dismissal, discipline, promotion, demotion, or compensation of public employees.
Motion?
Second?
Thank you. Amanda, please call the roll.
Brittany,
Yes.
Ross,
Yes.
Ken,
Yes.
Bob,
Yes.
Jordan.
Yes.
Tom,
Yes.
Dr. Dave.
Yes.
Okay, no action taken there. Item M, approve payment of bills and financial reports. In the absence of any objections or corrections, the payment of bills and financial reports shall stand approved. I'm hearing none, they will stand approved. And item N, motion for adjournment, please.
So moved.
Second.
Thank you. Amanda, please call the roll.
Brittany.
Yes.
Ross.
Yes.
Ken,
Yes.
Bob.
Yes.
Jordan.
Yes.
Tom.
Yes.
Dr. Dave.
Yes.
We are adjourned. Thank you, everybody.
Nice job, Council President.
I was
Pro,
telling
man.
you, thank you for.
Learn from the best.